Hey everybody, getting ready to do another stream here. We're doing pixel art, getting back at the pixel art commissions. Still not done. We still got Rydia to work on, so we'll be chipping away on her and hopefully finish or get close to finishing her today and possibly starting a new one. We got an ad coming up in a couple minutes, and then we will be ready to get going here. Alright, we should be coming out of the ad here. Alright, here we are. We got Rydia here. So yeah, there's still some pixels missing, and then a lot of the gradations need to be color restricted in a way. So we've got the sleeve, the foot, and the leg that still need to be put down completely there. And then we've got this thing here. So this is the full composition. And yeah, still a long ways to go when it comes to getting all of them done. We still got two characters that are completely untouched. And this character isn't really done. Mario is pretty close. This one I think is done. and then there's Link also, which is really close. Oh, are we now back from the ads? Sorry about that. Anyways, we're back from the ads. And so yeah, we're going to go back to this. So we've got the reference layer there, and you can see there's a lot more texture here that will be lost. And then we're gonna try to make the most out of the colors and the shadows and stuff like that. And then we'll have to smooth things out, like this leg here has way too much noise to it. But that's what we'll be doing here. So let's go ahead and just jump on. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing good. I took a bit of a break yesterday. We did stream Heroes of Hammerwatch last night, and that was a lot of fun. My sleep schedule has been normal recently, which is interesting. And yesterday I played Skyrim pretty much all day long. Something came over me, and I was like, I want to play Skyrim. And then once I started, I was like, I want to keep playing Skyrim. And I have Skyrim VR, and I did play that on stream for a little bit, like earlier in the month or last month or something. And I might do more of that in the future, but man, it's such a nice change to just not have to be, to not have it on your face, right? Like, it's fun to play in VR, don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's worth the price tag they put on it, but it's fun. My VR headset is not the nicest. It hardly works. And my computer is not the nicest either, so like I basically have to like bring the resolution down just to make it work. It's hard to read. I have to wear my glasses because it's either that or put on contacts, which is even more of a pain in the ass, right? Contacts are fucking expensive. I mean, glasses are too, but you only have to buy them the once, well, until they break or until you need new ones or whatever, right? But contacts, they're like disposable and they don't last for more than a week or so. 2 weeks maybe. I have a bunch of old contacts that I never put in and paid for, and they're expired, and I can still wear them, but they don't last nearly as long. They're almost kind of like once and done. An eye doctor probably wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, I have like old glasses that I wear underneath the headset, so that way if they get scratched up from the lenses touching, then it's not the end of the world. But I don't wear my nice glasses under there because that would be absolute shit to have scratched up lenses from playing games in VR. Yeah, it supposedly is supposed to fit over your glasses, but it doesn't. Not very well anyway, unless your glass is like really close to your eyeball. But yeah, playing Skyrim's been fun. I think I'm at like, I don't even know what level anymore, level 15 or something like that. I reached level 40 on the archery, which has been kind of my go-to for a while. Also one-handed, and alchemy, and a little bit of enchanting, a little bit of smithing, and a little bit of blocking too. I've been using a shield this run, which normally I don't ever do, but it's actually pretty useful, I'm finding. You don't want to take damage. But now I'm getting to the point in alchemy where I just always have enough health potions to kill anything, so. Except for a couple guys that I had to run away from. I've got that bug companion right now. I'm not sure if I've ever had it before. I don't really remember that. I was kind of surprised when it asked me to if I wanted the bug as a companion. But I've been walking to all of the major cities. I haven't made it to Winterhold yet, but I went to Dawnstar instead. So I might go to Winterhold next. I don't know. I haven't gone to Solitude yet. So maybe I'll go there next. I don't know. Basically what I do is I go to all the alchemist places, and then I just make rounds selling and making. I go and buy up all their ingredients, make all the potions, and sell them back to them until they don't have any money. So I'm working up my my speech skill and my alchemy skill like a lot. And then also, anytime that I have an enchanted item, I hold on to it and destroy it at the alchemist thing, or the enchantment table. So that way, one day I'll be able to start making enchantments. And I've been collecting leather along the way, and every time I go to a town, I turn it into leather armor and sell it. And I've been watching a lot of Cowboy Bebop. Well, not a lot. I'm like 4 episodes in. I just love that anime. It's so like inspiring to me. I always have like ideas of things that I would like to do, and like how it could like very loosely be related to like the feeling that Cowboy Bebop kind of provides. Like, I would love to make a cartoon, but all of my ideas kind of fight each other, and none of my ideas are like, I want to be a bounty hunter, like a Western style sci-fi. Like, I just love that so much, but at the same time I would never like try to do that, like, as much as I like watching it. Infinite Metal, Bebop is real good. Yeah, Bebop is probably my favorite anime. I can't think of another that I like more. But everyone should check out Infinite Metal stream if they haven't yet. They've got Skelly and Quackers, and it's just an all-around good time. What have you been up to, Infinite? How you been? Good to see you in here. That's often the anime I recommend as a first anime to see if someone will care at all about anime. Yeah, I think that's a good one. And then I think Akira works pretty well for that too, as far as like films go. Because Akira is probably my favorite anime film, but it is a film and not a series, so there's that. I like others more, but I think that's one that just has so much wide appeal that if you really don't like it, there's probably not a lot you are going to like. That's a good point. What other ones do you like more? Because I'm always adding to my list. I know there's lots of like different tastes for anime. Like I was talking to someone earlier that really just likes gory anime, and I was like, it's funny because they like cozy games but gory anime, which, you know, to each their own, nothing against that. But I haven't actually really watched a whole lot of gory anime other than Kite, which was really gory but also just like sexually explicit and violent, and in a way that I didn't really appreciate it. But I saw the unrated version, so maybe the rated version's better. I imagine it is. But yeah, I was really enjoying Dot Hack, but it kind of lost me with the like the media stuff going on there, where it was like a video game and an anime and a movie and like all these different stories kind of combined, and like I kind of just liked the one story. And I'm not really trying to play like 3 or 4 different video games that are long. I guess you can watch the cutscenes and get the gist of it on YouTube, which maybe one day I'll do. But I was kind of done with it by the time I finished it. Trigun is your favorite, but some other good ones up there for me: Gungrave, Attack on Titan, Ghost in the Shell, and Standalone Complex. So someone was telling me to watch Attack on Titan, and I will check it out. It made it to my list. Trigun, I actually remember seeing back on Adult Swim around the same time that I found Cowboy Bebop and Inuyasha. So Trigun to me is like one of the original animes that I saw back in high school. I don't think I've seen every episode though, so I kind of want to start from the beginning and restart Trigun. And I probably will. I don't know Gungrave, and I don't know Standalone Complex. Ghost in the Shell I've heard of, but I haven't actually watched. I heard it's good though. I'll have to add all those to my list. In fact, I should do that now before chat gets excessive. Infinite says, yeah, the first Dot Hack experience was very unusual as a full force transmedia project. I really like Dot Hack's sign though. Yeah, oh, so I think that's the one that I was watching. Maybe. I'm confused now. I think I started watching another one and I was like, wait, I like the other one better. But I think it was Dot Hack Sign that I was watching. Because that's like the anime, right? And then, or like the first anime. And then there was like Dot Hack games and all of that, yeah. Yeah, Bebop and Trigun were around the same time, yeah. Yeah, I enjoy Ghost in the Shell. I enjoyed most of the Ghost in the Shell I've seen, but Standalone Complex is top for me. Cool, I'm gonna add those to my list right now. So give me a second while I do that. Because I'd never heard of Standalone Complex. And then what was the other? Gungrave. Thank you for your recommendations, Infinite Metal. I imagine they're spot on. You and I have very similar tastes, I feel like. At least in games. And if you like Trigun and Bebop, I'm sure I'll like whatever else you like. To a degree. I was trying to watch My Hero Academia for a bit and I couldn't get into it. It was just too superhero-y. Like, and don't get me wrong, it does a pretty good job of like being better than most superhero media. It's just like I don't know. I got kind of bored with it, I think, and maybe I just need to give it more opportunity. It definitely isn't bad by any means. Just isn't like what I think of when I'm like, oh, I want to watch something. I also watch like a lot of like live media or live action media. Like I was enjoying Alien Earth, but season 1 ended after only 8 episodes, and I feel like it didn't really get like very far. Like I don't know, I guess a lot happened, but like I want more. I want to just like binge and like get through the whole series, and that's gonna take them years to make another 8 episodes. So like it's like I only got into My Hero Academia because I thought it was 1 season, then it turned out to be the first season. Okay. Yeah, I think I made it like 10 or so episodes into My Hero. What was the other one I was watching? Sword Art Online. And like there were parts I liked about Sword Art at first, and then I started to like it less and less as it like went. As I got deeper into it, I was like, I don't really appreciate this as much. And also like the writing was just kind of cringe at points. Not like crazy cringe, but like, I don't know, just kind of old-fashioned. I think I wouldn't have bothered as much if I realized how long it would be at the start, but it did end up having more meat to it after a bit. Right on. Yeah, I mean, people who like it tend to really like it with My Hero. I liked some of the characters. Like I was saying to someone earlier, I like the frog girl. No, not for any real reason, but just like the absurdity of it, and just like the general character basis. Like her personality was kind of unique, and like the costume obviously was kind of unique, and it was just absurd in a good way. I like absurdity. I'm a big fan of like Mr. Bungle and stuff like that. I was fine with some Sword Art, but it was basically a dot hack design for a more mainstream audience. A little bit, yeah. Dot hack was a lot deeper, right? Like it delved into sociological and psychological aspects that Sword Hack didn't really touch on, it felt like. Or not Sword Hack, Sword Art. But maybe I didn't watch enough also, because I didn't really like... I think I made it like, again, like maybe 10 or 12 episodes. I made it to the point where they were like, we're gonna adopt this kid in the woods and pretend to have a family. And I was like, what's going on? I don't know, maybe some people would appreciate that episode more than me, but like, it just felt like very out of place. Right, Dot Hack was definitely deeper and trying to push the art and experiment more. I liked it. It felt more like in tune with what games were like at the time, or at least what games were trying to be like at the time, and also like the personalities of like the 90s internet culture was there, which I was a part of. 90s internet culture was a lot different than today. Today, like, there's a lot of focus on anonymity, which is understandable. I get that, especially after all the shit that went down with, you know, just all the shit in general that's gone down in society over the last whatever. How people treat each other, and, you know, how people scam each other and all that shit. But in the 90s, there was this like, and you probably remember this, there was like this kind of like carefree attitude about the internet where people would use their real names. People would, I mean, what was it? ASL was like commonplace. Like anytime that you like met someone, that was the first thing you told them was how old you were, what sex you were, and your location. And things have changed so much now. Like sex is like not even a question anymore because there's so many people that don't identify as binary genders. And then there's like location you just don't talk about because like you don't want people to know where you are. And then age, again, like that's just one step closer to knowing how to hack your bank account, basically. And like how important is age really after a certain age? You know, if you're old enough to I don't know, if you're over 18, you know, over 21 or whatever, like a lot of the age stuff doesn't really make a difference anymore, you know. I end up chatting with a lot of people that are quite a bit younger than me. Of course, I'm like just getting older and older, but being older doesn't seem to make that big of a difference anymore, you know. As long as someone's like college age, like I don't know, doesn't really make that big of a difference. But then again, like you go any younger than that and people are pretty freaking different. For My Hero, you might actually like the spin-off more. Vigilantes is more of a prequel story too and focuses more on a more oddball ragtag group. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I vaguely remember the like the lore behind like how it basically explains a little bit of the lore during the first few episodes, like how superheroes came to be and how like he was like a super young kid like growing up like wanting to be like this one big superhero kind of thing, you know. You know more about it than I do. I've kind of deleted all of that information from my brain already. Yeah, internet back then was way different. I kind of cringe now thinking of being a kid going into random chat rooms with ASL and that. Yeah, I was kind of like that too, but I don't know. I came out unscathed, I would say. I'm sure there's, you know, different things happen to different people, I'm sure. But yeah, I definitely had some older friends online that, like, thinking about it now, if I would have like told my parents like, hey, I'm like hanging out with or talking with this older person who like does a bunch of drugs and like is a DJ and shit, like they'd probably be like, what? But at that point I was already like, you know, 18 at least or so it wasn't that big of a thing, but still a little bit weird for, you know, I don't know. I think rave culture had something to do with it, right? Because I was in the DJ stuff at the time and I was meeting a lot of people that were heavy into the rave culture. And age kind of gets thrown out the window in that culture. But yeah, it's a little bit weird for sure, like thinking about it now. Right, it's kind of a gamble. Yeah, most of the time probably nothing happens, but the risk reward may not be as great as we thought. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like what real difference does it make for someone to know where you're located or how old you are? Of course, I'm at the age now where I just don't really give a shit. I tell people where I'm located, how old I am, and my gender, and I don't really think about it. But also it's partly because like I've been doing it for so long that like if anyone really wanted to find that shit out, they could probably just dig through my past and find it, you know. And then also like I've kind of made like an internet presence around my name, so it's kind of hard to just switch, you know. Like if I changed my name on Twitch, not only would I have to go around and change the links everywhere that I've been posting for years, but like or there would be like a whole bunch of dead links everywhere, But like talking to new people, I'd have to tell them who I am anyways, right? Or become a completely new person to them, and just kind of remove the history, and that's kind of a weird thing for me. Like, I'd rather not do that. Yeah, it depends. You also aren't a kid, of course. Yeah, exactly. At this age, like, I'm not really too worried about it. Like, it would suck, don't get me wrong, to get hacked or whatever, and like all of that shit that shit does actually happen, you know, for real. But I'm not extremely worried about it. My bank account and stuff is pretty secure. But yeah, I'd be pretty upset if I got hacked, that's for certain. So I've laid down most of the pixels now, so now I can just focus on like trying to clean up some of these gradations so it doesn't use so many damn colors. Because there's a crazy amount of colors here. So a lot of what I'm doing now is just kind of lumping colors together in groups. So there's less of a variation in colors. And I'm a little worried that the face is kind of blurry. Some nice detail on this one. There's like almost too much detail in this image, right? So it's been a challenge to try to make it look like pixel art and not just like a downsampled JPEG. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, is just trying to make it look more like pixel art and less like a downsampled JPEG. Because I did go in and sample each pixel individually and draw lines where I felt like they needed, and made some, you know, considerations and compromises to make it all work. But yeah, looks like something that would fit into one of the later Might and Magic games. Cool. I haven't actually played any of the later ones. In fact, I haven't played any of them, but I think there was a girl I was dating that was like, oh my god, Might and Magic's on sale on GOG, and she didn't have her computer, so she just purchased it on my computer just to play it for like a couple hours or whatever, because it was on sale. And she was kind of like that, to get really excited over something, like, and know that she wasn't going to be excited about it tomorrow, kind of thing. So I got to watch her play, and it was interesting. I liked the concept of it and stuff. And I've thought about going back and grabbing it, because I'm pretty sure it was on my account. I don't think she had an account, or I don't know exactly how it worked. Maybe it was her account, but I'm pretty sure it was on my computer. I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering all of this, to be honest. Maybe she had her computer. It was pretty common for us to like co-work together. She was a game developer and so was I, so we would just like work on games at the same time, like, and we hung out like every day. So that's what we did. It was an interesting dynamic. I met her at a game dev meetup, and we actually ended up becoming a thing during a game jam, which is kind of romantic in a way. I've only played much of 7 and 8, which I enjoyed. I have some of the others, and my brother liked the early ones a lot. Okay, cool. Yeah, the early one, it was almost like a Command and Conquer kind of thing, except the fights were more like Military Madness. Did you ever play Military Madness Infinite? You'd probably dig Military Madness. Oh, you're thinking of Heroes of Might and Magic. Oh shit, what are you thinking of? Wait, is there a difference? Might and Magic versus Heroes of Might and Magic? Ah, I didn't realize. I thought that's what you were talking about. My bad. Simply Might and Magic are more classic Western RPGs, so closer to Elder Scrolls, though you do get a party. Ah, okay. I see. Yeah, I had no idea. There's a lot of CRPGs or ARPGs that I missed out on. Because I didn't have a computer when I was growing up, believe it or not. I didn't have a computer until college, so probably 2005 was the first time I had my own computer. I did have access to a computer for most of my life after 95. So in 1995, we got a gateway with the Cowbox that came with Windows 95, and it was our family computer. And I had friends with computers, so they hooked me up with games and stuff. We also had like a lot of those like I don't know if you remember these, but there would be these cardboard boxes just like filled with a bunch of discs, and they were all just different games and stuff. So we had like King's Quest 4 and like just a bunch of random stuff in this like big box that was like a bundle of games that they would sell at like Walmart or whatever. And some of them were good, some of them weren't. Some of them were just like useless software and stuff. Really weird. Like I remember we had this screensaver that was all Mandelbrot. What do they call those? Fractals. And I thought that shit was cool as hell, but it's like, why? But that was back when like everyone had Encarta on a disc and stuff like that, you know? I remember those. That's how I played a lot of LucasArts games. Yeah. So we only had like one of those, so I didn't have like a whole bunch of LucasArts games. But actually, I don't think we had any LucasArts. We just had that Sierra game. But yeah. But we also had Doom and Doom 2 and Duke Nukem eventually, and I had someone gave me my step grandma gave me a game for Christmas that was called Wolfpack. It was like a submarine game. It was like really hard to play. It was like a submarine simulator. I remember playing that one. We had Flight Simulator 95. Oh yeah, Sierra Games too, that's right. Yeah. Then my brother had like a hockey game that was really cool. It was like a 4-player hockey game, and we would get 4 people on the keyboard, and that was hilarious. But it was fun. We had Microsoft Bob on that computer. It came with Microsoft Bob. That shit was so cool. I kind of wish that I had a virtual machine to run Microsoft, just to run Microsoft Bob on. But I don't know, I watched a video of someone doing it, and it seemed like it didn't do a whole lot these days with modern software. Like, you could make rooms or whatever, like you could back in the day, but like trying to like boot up your software on it was like this big pain in the ass. Because it was basically like, if you're not familiar with Microsoft Bob, it was basically a kid's version of Windows, like a starter Windows. Instead of having like a wallpaper, you would have like a room, and then you could make a whole bunch of rooms, and you could make doors that led to different rooms, and then each room you could put different shortcuts which were shaped like whatever icons you wanted. Like, you could do picture frames or boxes or whatever, and they were just your application shortcuts. And then you'd have like this little helper in the corner, and that's where Rover from Windows XP came from. I've seen some videos that reference and show a small amount of it, but never used it myself. Ah, okay, yeah. Most people haven't, because it really only came with that one version of that Gateway Windows 95 computer. It was pretty rare, really. At the time, it seemed like everyone had it, but like no one did. Looks like we're gonna get an ad in about 5 minutes or so. I used all my snoozes. That's what that bell is. My warning. It's a relaxing bell sound though, I like it. It's like a Tibetan singing bowl, which are one of my favorite meditation things. I kind of want to get a singing bowl, to be honest. I never owned one. My friend had one, I remember that. So yeah, now I'm just kind of trying to remove some of the noise by kind of sampling a pixel next to a pixel that I feel is too noisy, and putting it over it, basically. That way that it's like a continuation, so there's more continuity rather than it being noisy. Some of the noise is kind of unavoidable. But where I can, I'd like to get rid of excess color usage here. But yeah, in Infinite Metal, we were playing Heroes of Hammerwatch 2 last night. I think you dropped in for a little bit. That shit was fun. I don't know if you've ever played that one. It's like old school Gauntlet, but an indie game and a roguelike. And haven't played, nah. It's fun. It's only $8 I think right now. But yeah, we've got a crew together, and I believe Indiana Crones is using a mod that allows you to bring in more people, like as many people as you want or something like that, and or 20 people or something. I'm not really sure. Kind of like what we do on Peak, where we've got more people than that's originally intended by the developers, and it's so much fun to have like all of these people playing at once. It gets a little hectic having that much on the screen for sure, but it's a good time. I really got into Gauntlet for a bit there. I remember playing Gauntlet 2, I think, at the arcade. Actually, it wasn't arcade. It was a Ditka's Dogs. Mike Ditka had a restaurant called Ditka's Dogs in Aurora, back where I used to live in Illinois. Well, I lived in Naperville, but Naperville and Aurora were right next to each other. And they had Gauntlet 2 on the cabinet. I mostly remember renting and playing the N64 Gauntlet game with people. Oh yeah, I owned Gauntlet Legends. I fucking loved that game. I think there was a PlayStation version of it too, right? Or maybe it was PS2. But yeah, I got really into that one. Actually, I was dating a girl that got really into that one too, so we would play that as like a date night game. We got really into it. She was the blue Valkyrie, and I was the green wizard. But yeah, we would get like an 18-pack of bottles and just finish them playing that game the whole night. That was like what we did. Sometimes we'd also rent a movie, and then we wouldn't even watch the movie because we would be so into the game. But yeah, other than the alcoholism that took place in that relationship, that was actually a lot of fun. We used to rent video games quite a bit and just play them if we got bored of what we were playing. But we also played a lot of like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo games. Like, oh, there's the ad. I'll continue that conversation when the ad is over. So yeah, we should be coming back from the ads about now. But yeah, I was talking about a relationship I was in where we played a lot of Sega and Super Nintendo games, and it wasn't just with this girl. I had a band, and we would have band practice, and sometimes have other people over to like watch us play, and so there would always be something plugged in, you know, some type of console plugged in for people to play games while we were jamming and stuff. And Toe Jam and Earl was a staple because you could kind of play it with one hand, and we were kind of big drinkers, and having a hand to hold your beer was helpful for us. We appreciated that, and so yeah, we played a lot of Toe Jam and Earl 1. And Toe Jam and Earl 2 was like interesting when I was a kid, but as an adult I much more appreciated the simplicity of Toe Jam and Earl 1, which is kind of interesting. But also we got really into playing Monopoly on Super Nintendo, which is kind of funny because it's such a shit game, like on a board game. But on the Super Nintendo, it was a lot more fun. You could, well, first of all, you didn't have to worry about the math or like the, you know, the dice or the pieces or any of that stuff, or putting down the houses. All the fiddly nature of the game was completely removed. And then you could literally have like AI players, right? So we could like team up against the AI and like, you know, talk about our strategies and stuff without like the AI overhearing it. You could have like up to 8 different players, right? And you would just pass the controller around the room, so you didn't need like a whole bunch of controllers, and like everyone could get drunk and usually what would end up happening is that one person who was more invested in the game than everyone else would end up just playing for everyone else and saying like, hey, you landed on this, what do you want to do you want to buy it? And generally it was, you know, if I have enough money, then yeah, because that's pretty much how you play the game, right? We also had Clue. Played a lot of Clue. And then years later, I was hanging out with a completely different crew of people, and like a whole bunch of people that I didn't know, but like they were friends of friends, all came over at once, and someone brought Clue, the board game, and we were playing it, and it was a lot of fun until the cell phones came out, because this was kind of early into like the iPhone era, right? And everyone was texting during the game, which I felt like was a little bit disrespectful, just like, you know, like at the time, because texting was something you did when you like either really needed to text someone or you were really bored, right? And I didn't say anything about it, but after a while I was like, this is a little weird. Why has everyone got their phone out? They were all texting each other. They were all cheating. And it was kind of hilarious. Once I realized what was going on, I was like, geez, thanks a lot. So what I'm doing to kind of fix the shading here is creating patterns, basically. And the patterns are kind of overlapping where there's like off pixels, off looking pixels, right? So anything that looks a little noisy, I'm basically taking the pattern and like removing it either one way or the next way, or sometimes changing it up a little bit so it doesn't look too like there's like this weird star forming here, so I'm gonna like try to prevent that from happening here. That looks a little bit more natural. There's this weird line here, doesn't really fit. Like some patterns are okay, like this like zigzag dither, because that's like a common technique in like hand-drawn pixel art and stuff. Like if you're trying to make a, like your eyes like patterns, right? So sometimes it's okay to use basic patterns and stuff. So yeah, there is a line there, but when you remove it, it's not like a big deal that it's not there anymore. And little things like these two dots, they don't need to be there. They can just be one thing, and maybe even change that to 2. This is maybe a little bit bright, so we can take that one and put it there. So yeah, the finishing touches on this kind of stuff is basically just looking at things over and over again until you see things that like look out of place, and then trying to fix those things that look out of place. So that's looking pretty good. I'll probably go back to it and like change some things. Like here, yeah, I'm already like thinking about things that I can change. Like that chin line just seems a little bit dark. Maybe we can darken this. those few changes makes the face look a lot better. I feel like I'll probably go back to it eventually. All right, got this work thing going. Okay, take care, Infinite Mel. Thank you so much for dropping in, and I hope this work thing goes well for you. I would have hated that, people texting to cheat during Clue. It was a little frustrating, but it was funny after we realized the game was kind of over and that the younger people in the room had completely lost interest. I mean, that's why I wasn't talking for a bit there. I just something running now. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing, what you're saying. Gotcha. But yeah, it was a little bit hilarious because they had checked out, basically. They just didn't care about the game anymore. They were basically making it a joke. And once I understood that, I was like, I gotcha. I've always kind of had a low tolerance for patience during board games. I love board games, but I am terrible, absolutely terrible at learning how to play and maintaining that level of attention. Because, like, I love the idea of playing board games. I even love the idea of, like, sitting around the table and doing it physically and all that stuff. But when it comes to learning something new using directions, I realized at a very young age that I don't understand things as quickly as other people when it comes to that. I literally need to have played before to fully understand, or like watch people extensively and then play, and then even after a couple times I still don't fully understand, right? But there's other people that are like, they read the directions once, or they even hear someone else read the directions and they get it. But for me, I definitely am better if I read the directions myself, but that's never how it goes in board games. Always the person who understands it the most gets to read the directions out loud, and then everyone else has to listen. And I am just so bad at taking information that I hear and turn it into, like, actual understanding. Like, that's just not the way my brain works. Yeah, for a lot of games, the worst part is learning the first time you play. A lot of board game makers are very aware of this and try to do different things to make that first experience better. Some have better results than others. Yeah, so onboarding is always difficult in games. Digital games are no different. That's why the first level and tutorials and stuff, they get much more time spent during the polishing phase than any other part of the game. As a game developer, for me, I always say, do the first level or / tutorial first, right? And then every so often, go back and iterate on it throughout the entire development cycle. And keep doing that until well after everything else is done, because that thing is going to need more work than anything else, and it is the onboarding. People, if they don't dig the onboarding of a digital game, they're done. They won't spend 5 minutes trying to learn how to play something if they don't like the onboarding process. So you need to test that over and over and over with, like, as many people as possible, and iterate on it over and over and over until it's the smoothest thing possible. And that's how Retro Spaceball turned out how it is. The first level is, like, so simplistically easy, because if it's not like that, people don't understand what the fuck is going on. And if you give them the next level after that and they beat the first level without figuring out what's going on, they're so lost for the rest of the game. So there's a trade-off between people who are like, the first level is too short, too easy, and the people who are like, they spend a minute on the first level and then they're like, oh, I think I get it. You know, at least everyone gets it. Infinite says, the last several years I've gone the route of just figure out the basic goal and lowest level of what you can do and then just play a game. Learn the details as you go, even if you are at a disadvantage the first time, always makes for a better time overall. Yep, I've more than once picked up a new video game that looked cool, got through 3 pages of intro text, and when asked to do tutorials, I just turned it off. Yeah. Personally, I try to stay away from tutorials and build them into the first level. Mega Man X did a fantastic job of this. You don't even realize you're playing a tutorial. But the first level of Mega Man X is indeed a tutorial, but it's also the intro to the story. It's action-packed. It's kind of one of the coolest levels of the entire game because of how well it's done. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's easy after you've played through the whole game. Once you've unlocked the Hadouken, playing the tutorial levels, like, okay, I'm just gonna get through this as quick as possible. But when you first sit down with it for the very first time, it's such a cool experience. And it's the tutorial. You don't even realize that you're doing it. Yep, Mega Man X is a great example of how to teach the player how to play through the gameplay. Yeah. And there is a little bit of text in there, but it's all in story and like just kind of like gearing you up for what the game is kind of like, which I think they did a great job. There's like articles written about how well that was done. I think we're gonna step away from this piece if I can stop myself from making minor adjustments. I'm not sure that I can. Now that doesn't look good. Maybe that looks a little bit better. I like that though. All right. Oh, and this pixel, I don't like the color of that one. What's going on with that? That looks a little bit better. All right, let's move on to a new one. Otherwise, I'll spend so much time noodling on this, and I'll come back and see things that I didn't see before, and I'll just keep coming back to these and changing them. Infinite says, I've started noticing when games design their levels or areas to teach you subtly how to play or what the new thing you got does. I really appreciate it now when they go that route too. Yeah, that's definitely becoming more and more like apparent as a game design kind of philosophy. It's generally considered good design. However, the concept of good design is very closely tied to trends and our, cognitive skills as a society, right? The general baseline of how our cognitive functions work, which evolve over time, So if you like time travel, right? If you take your game from now and give it to people in the 60s, it wouldn't work as well. Or vice versa. If you take a game from the 60s and try to show people it today, they might not understand the game design philosophies as well. But generally speaking, game design is evolving in a way that is more helpful for onboarding and stuff like that. All right, now let's Should we go to Samus or Sora? I think maybe Samus. We'll leave Sora for last, maybe Sora for last. Yeah. So what I've been doing is we can actually delete these layers. We don't need them. Make a new layer, and then what I've been doing is encapsulating the character in a box. And then filling in that box with the color, copying it, creating a new document, and then bringing in the reference image here. Oh, we got another ad break coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's see here. What am I doing? Missions, reference. So it's pretty close to the right size, but I think it needs to be shrunk down just a little bit. So we'll use the V key and shrink it down a little bit and move it away from the edge a little bit. And I think that's about what it's supposed to be. So that way we have the general pixel density already kind of figured out. And we can kind of start just drawing over it. Yeah, I wonder about it sometimes. I think at least part of the reason gaming in general is more popular now than ever is games really are designed better for a wider audience, easier to get into. In digital gaming, absolutely. However, I would argue that in terms of gaming in general, I don't think it's any more popular than it was way back when. If you think about it, like what was it, like the Royal Game of Ur, right? Or Ur, however you pronounce that, was so popular that it like spread over that entire Mediterranean area, and it was so popular for like centuries, right? And then you've got Senate, you've got checkers. Is something going on with my bitrate and stuff? For some reason, Twitch is this. I need to restart my stream to get it to work sometimes here. But yeah, I'm thinking specifically video/digital games. It's true, games in general have been popular for millennia. Yeah, even I would say even more popular than they are now for in some situations, because there was nothing else to do but play card games for like the longest time. You would work, and then when you weren't working, you had to eat, and you would socialize, and after a while, you only had so much that you could say to your family, right? You could tell the same stories over and over again, and they did, for sure. But when cards came out, they were extremely possible for a very good reason. People needed things to do. There was no TV yet, you know? And gambling was pretty much entertainment for the longest time. There were various kinds of ball games going back a few thousand years. It's true, but sports were kind of generally expensive and difficult, and yeah, a lot of them were in the early days in preparation for war, right? Like Spartan games kind of thing, sparring and wrestling, you know. But yeah, what was that one game? I can't remember. It was like a South American game, I think, where you would like, they played with a stone, and you would try to hit a body part against the stone so hard that it would launch the stone through this little hole in the wall. And it was almost like a precursor to basketball in a way, because there was like a basket almost kind of thing, but it was like a sideways hole that you would try to get through to the other side. And people would like get like maimed during it because it was so brutal. But again, things like what, jousting and like, you know, even gladiator, Coliseum style gladiator stuff, like a lot of that, it was for rich people who had like slaves and, you know, serfdoms and, you know, lots of money and lots of people that needed to be entertained, otherwise they'd revolt, kind of thing. And then there was also the cup and ball game in Kendama, right? But yeah, there's an ad that's gonna start in a few seconds here, so just a heads up there. I'm actually gonna switch monitors here. But yeah, I love early games. Early games are so interesting to me. Alright, it looks like we're in the ad. We'll continue this conversation after the ad. Alright, looks like we're coming back from the ad break. Lot Lizard, welcome in. Nice job getting first. 11 times, that's a lot of first. Also, thank you for checking in. What's you got going on over here? We are drawing Samus now. We got this done, well, kind of ish done. So there's the reference, and here's the what we've got so far. I'll probably still clean up some of the noise and stuff like that so it looks less noisy. But yeah, it's the pixel art version. The face was kind of difficult, so I might go in and clean that up a bit. Make some little adjustments and stuff like that, but For now, it's pretty good. I'm on a roll. Yeah, that is a lot of firsts. And Infinite Metal had said before the ad break, you ever hear people used to just sing a lot? Yeah, 100%. I mean, and also there was like singing games too, right? Like kind of like how they do in camp still. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But, or like drinking songs, right? Because drinking has always been an entertainment thing too. 10 out of 10, Rico, top tier. But I hope you're doing well, Lot Lizard. Hope you've been having a good day so far. We've been kind of chilling for a little bit here. I've been playing a lot of Skyrim lately. It's kind of addicting. Yeah, drinking songs after supper, singing with the family, probably just a lot of other stuff. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely like a need for you know, what, like troubadours and bards and stuff like that, right? Oh, we got the telephone. Someone's calling. Hello? Hello? No, but yeah, like, when you only have so many stories, all of a sudden it becomes, like, really useful to get the stories from the surrounding towns, right? Or the surrounding villages or cities, or even countries, depending on where you're at, right? I'm calling about your car's extended warranty. So yeah, you would actually, back in the day, you would actually pay people to hear their stories because you were sick of hearing the same stories over and over again, and you now had like social currency, right? So you had a new story to tell, and people would be like, "Wait, there's a new you heard a new story?" Like, yeah. And then you would tell the new story, and everyone would love it because it was a new story. It wasn't the same shit that they've heard. The hands are going to be tough, I can tell already. But it can't be worse than Rydia, because these hands are at least larger. detailed lines, we're just gonna have to give the impression of their existence. Twitch is doing this network error thing to me. Yep, I gotta seriously thank Taco. I no longer see ads. Oh, that's awesome, yeah. Or sometimes people were better at telling the older stories that people loved already. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. I get the vibe that maybe in a past life I had a job like that, just going around telling stories. I know I don't get into story mode too often here on stream, but man, when I was in high school, that would be like what I did. I would just we'd be like in jewelry class, and I would just start talking, and I wouldn't stop until the end of the class, and by the end of the class, like, our table and like the table next to us would just be like leaning in. There'd be like more people at the table than should be, and the teacher would be like, everyone needs to get work done, and then I'd be like, I am working, and everyone else would be like, have already like stopped working and was just like paying attention to what I'm doing. I'd still be working. I actually got a lot done in jewelry class. I actually really enjoyed making jewelry, to be honest. And after college, I actually did make jewelry for money. Not like professionally, but like as a traveling salesman of my own wares at festivals. The wire wrap jewelry, of course, like nothing crazy. I really wanted to get into the crazy shit, but I didn't have a garage even at the time. I lived in an apartment. Lotluzu says, I'm made for TikTok or a podcast with my stories and personality outrageous. Are you gonna start? Oh, you froze them for me? Yeah, sorry. It's been freezing for me too. I think it's a Twitch thing. Unless it's like a... I don't know, it was working fine before. I mean, it could be my internet. My internet did crash last night. I don't know what's going on. You ever see the show The Storyteller? No, I haven't. I don't know that one. Okay, I'm back. Let's see if it's better. Yeah, sorry about that, Lot Lizard. I'm not sure why it's freezing. It's freezing for me too. Not on like the OBS side, like the stream going out isn't streaming, but me monitoring the stream is freezing for me. So it's off and on, freezing for me the last several minutes. Ah, okay. Yeah, it's not just you. It's happening to me too. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I don't think it's just me, but it could be. It could be my internet. I don't know. Oh, it happened to someone else's stream too, but then again, maybe that could just be my internet causing their stream to... Yeah, I really don't know. I wish I knew more. But yeah, I've never seen The Storyteller. I might have to check that out. And Lot Lizard, are you gonna start a podcast? What would your podcast be about, Lot Lizard? I should, lol. I didn't know about it till a few years ago, but it's an old show by Jim Henson that did some great retelling of folk tales. Some I knew before, some I didn't. Oh wow, that sounds right up my alley. I enjoy the Jim Henson stuff. Like, I used to love Fraggle Rock when I was a kid. Everyone tells me to, my dumpster fire life, duh. Well, that sounds intense. By the way, Lot Lizard, there's some new commands that you might not know about. We got jokes. There are 2 ways to write error-free programs. Only the third one works. And then we've also got question of the day. You holding on to me. We got question of the day. What crazy activities do you dream of trying someday? Personally, that's a hard one for me to answer. I've already pretty much done all the crazy activities that I would like to do. I've never gone bungee jumping, but one time I did like this bungee swing thing, and that was fucking crazy. Froze? Oh yeah, it froze for me too. It's weird. OBS isn't giving me any problems. There's no dropped frames. The kilobytes per second seems to be fine. Everything seems to be good on my end. I don't know why it's doing that. But yeah, some people would like want to go skydiving. I don't want to go skydiving. And I saw some post a couple weeks ago with someone arguing there was a way to write error-free code and that no one needs QA if they just do this process. They had no idea what they were talking about. Yeah. There's 2 ways to write error-free programs. Only the third one works. Nope. I mean, I don't know. The thing is about errors is that it's kind of a weird way to say it, right? Because there's bugs and then there's errors, right? And when an error is there, the code won't compile, right? So that's a little bit easier to sort because you should compile it every time you know, make amendments or additions or write some shit, right? You save it and compile it, see if it works, and oh, there's an error, I forgot a semicolon, you know. But then there's bugs which you literally need to test for, and sometimes even when, like, oh my god, I was playing Skyrim earlier and I, like, right before a stream started, I hit this fucking crazy bug. I was in Windhelm, right? And I was playing with the sign like I like to do. So there's these hinged signs in Skyrim if you haven't played it. It's got these signs that are on hinges and they're physics driven. There's like what we call a hinge joint on the sign, right? So in game development, it's literally like a series of hinges for this chain that's holding up this, you know, a blacksmith sign. So I'm just like running into it for fun and it's doing some crazy shit, right? Because it's Skyrim physics, right? So it's like flipping all the way around and then it's like getting stuck backwards and then it's like just floating in midair upside down, and I'm just hitting it for the fuck of it, right? I'm just having fun doing it. And then all of a sudden it launched me way up into the air. Like so high up, like crazy high up. And keep in mind, I'm in Windhelm, right? So like Windhelm is like, for those of you who don't know, Windhelm is like its own submap within the larger world map of Skyrim. So there's no actual way to leave Windhelm except for through the doors, and the doors lead you back to the rest of Skyrim. But if you get shot way up into the air, it doesn't know where the fuck you are anymore. And all of a sudden I'm coming down fast, right? Coming down hot, and I land in an ocean, an endless ocean, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I look down, there's nothing down there. I look left, I look right, there's nothing. I swim for a bit and there's nothing, and then I pull out the map and I am like way off the map, way off the map. Like, let me pull up the Skyrim map so you can see how far off I was. This sign had completely launched me. Let's see if I can find it. I can't find a good picture of the map. Okay, here it is. So this is the map of Skyrim. I was over here. I was literally over here. It said you are here, and there was an arrow over here. It was fucking crazy. You couldn't even see the rest of the map. You had to like move it, and then it wouldn't let you go back to where you were. Like this little arrow, it was like all the way up here. It was crazy. But yeah, bugs in games are like they're gonna be there. It's all about minimizing them. Infinite says they doubled down on the idea though. I think some of the disconnects when I hear those claims is 1, overconfidence in the value of unit tests, and 2, only experience with QA is testers that simply run scripts and record results, which is probably because that's all they were asked to do. Yeah, so I think a lot of it is going to be dependent on what you're actually programming, right? So if you're programming software that's not really going to be made by a user, like a front-end product, right? If it's software that's going to be used on the back end or by only people who know what it's used for, there is going to be less room for bugs, right? There's still going to be bugs, you know, but when you have a creative involvement in the process, it just opens the floodgates for bugs, right? The more like room you give the user to do whatever they feel like doing, the more bugs there are. It's like it just opens up, right? So that's why something like Skyrim is a great example, because it's an open world kind of sandbox almost thing. Like, I mean, it's not a complete sandbox, but it is very sandboxy. You can do pretty much whatever the fuck you want. You can kill the NPCs, you can, you know, hunt, you can blacksmith, you know, just like whatever you feel like doing. You can play with the signs until the signs launch you into the next country over, basically. Because they don't expect you to do that. And I couldn't repro it. So even if someone else had gotten that to happen, it's so hard to repro that they don't worry about it. It's what they call an edge case, right? So some edge cases are there's no point in trying to fix it, right? Especially if it's like that means we have to redo all the signs and remove a feature of the game that everyone pretty much likes, because anyone who's played the game has probably bumped into the signs before to see if they move, and then they move and they're like, oh cool, the signs move, and that's usually it. They don't go testing every sign, and it took me a good like minute of playing with the sign before it launched me, right? I was like really enjoying myself, like, oh, this is funny, I'm breaking the sign, and then bam, the sign broke me, and I was like, holy shit, right? Right, users are not going to do what you expect them to do. Yeah, there is a really good meme for that. I think I saved it on my phone. Let me see if I can find it, because it's really good. Unless I saved it on, oh yeah, here it is. I'm gonna send it to my Discord. Oh, we've got another ad break coming up. I'm gonna snooze it. So we can talk about this amazing meme. Here. Check this one out. Infinite Metal. Devs, create simple and intuitive UI. User. Yeah. This is the reality of game development. If you're lucky, you can actually fill the cup, right? In most cases, it just fucking breaks. Flat Lizard says, I want to skydive too. Sorry, that was like 10 minutes later. 8 minutes later. Honestly, I have this thing where I think that if anyone is like has been skydiving or wants to go skydiving, they're probably crazy. Like they probably you know, are crazy. I don't know how I don't know how to put that more pleasantly. Like that shit's nuts to me, right? Like I don't know. I've climbed mountains before. I ran down the Grand Canyon. I've definitely done some dangerous shit in my life. But I'm done doing dangerous shit. You know, I was ejected out of a fucking car one time, dude. Like, I've pressed my luck. I don't think I have that much luck left to press. Oh, it froze again. Why is it doing that? My bitrate's fine. There's no spikes or drops or anything like that. Anyways, that was my amazing meme. I didn't make it or anything, but I found it and I think it's amazing. Alright, let's keep drawing Samus here. But we do have more jokes. There's like 200 or some jokes in there. Here's one. A UX designer looks both ways before crossing a one-way street. That's less of a joke and more of like a philosophy. But it kind of goes into what we were saying. I see people going the wrong way on one-way streets often enough. I've been that guy before, for sure. Also, I used to live on a one-way street, and it did happen at least like once a week. Like, not to me, but to other people. But also, I'm kind of that. I'm the guy who looks before going through a green light, right? Like, I do a quick glance left and right to make sure that everyone's paying attention on the other sides of the road before I try to cross. Call me paranoid, but I'd like to prevent that type of collision. When I was living in Bloomington, Illinois, there was a situation where someone had gotten on the highway backwards. Not backwards, the wrong way. They had entered an exit ramp and continued to drive. I don't remember what happened, if they got pulled over or got into an accident. But it definitely happened. I remember hearing the story and thinking, holy shit. And it was a drunk driver. I remember that. How else does that shit happen, right? That's fair, and another good reason people shouldn't honk immediately after the light turns green if the car in front doesn't start moving immediately. So that's like a whole other thing, right? If you're a if you've got a death wish, then go ahead and honk at people. If you care about living, just assume that everyone's got a gun and they've had a terrible day. That's the way I drive. I assume everyone's got a gun and that they're having the worst day of their life. Because people drive like they're having the worst day of their life. All the time. And lots of people have guns out here, and they did in Phoenix too, and they did in Chicago also. So pretty much everywhere I've lived, there's lots of guns in the cars, and people drive like assholes. So you don't see me honking unless it's like to prevent an accident, right? And even then, I am more worried about getting out of the way than I am at honking, you know? The worst is when you find yourself in a bad situation and the other person notices that you're in a bad situation, yet they make the situation just a little bit worse, and then they honk at you endlessly until you figure out how to get past the situation, right? That's the worst. I've had that happen to me at least a couple times in my life, and these people, they all of a sudden just get really, really mad, you know? Oh my God, you're stopping me for like a split second. I'm going to blare the horn for what feels like 2 minutes, probably only 30 seconds. But 30 seconds of horn blast is jarring, not to mention your anxiety is already high, and they know this. They know this, right? So like, yeah. Like, first of all, it's not like we were in an accident. So like, you shouldn't be that upset. The accident was avoided. You should be grateful. Whether or not it's my fault, you shouldn't be upset, right? The accident was avoided. But now you look like an asshole. It doesn't matter if I'm the one who can't drive, you look like an asshole. You know what I mean? People wear their cars like a fucking suit of armor. Keep hitting the wrong damn button. There we go. You put someone in a car and all of a sudden they're invincible in their mind. Like one time I was making a, I needed to make a left, but it wasn't like a place that I had driven a whole lot, right? I lived in the area, but I never had to go that way, and it was rush hour. So pretty much everyone around me went that way every day. Well, there was a road closure, and there was no indication of this road closure unless you looked down the road. Oh, here come the ads. I'll finish that when we come back from the ads. Alright, we should be coming back from the ads. So there was a road closure, right? And I couldn't tell until I was looking down the road, which didn't happen until I was at the intersection in the left-hand turn lane, and there was no place for me to go, right? And it was rush hour. So I either A, waited and waited and waited to make a left-hand turn that led nowhere, right? And then I would have had to wait and wait and wait to make another left-hand turn to get back to where I was needed to go, which would have taken probably about 10 minutes or so, probably because of how much traffic there was. Or I waited until there was a gap where I could make, oh, there's that damn shit happened again. Hold on. The internet is is not being consistent here for whatever reason. Sorry about that. So yeah, if it made you refresh, hopefully you're not missing the entire story here. But yeah, so what I did was I waited for a gap in the road that I was on to pull back in to traffic, right? So lo and behold, there's someone else trying to make a left-hand turn going the other way, and as soon as the gap is there, they're trying to make a left-hand turn, right? But they're not blocking traffic, and yet they are just blaring their horn at me because they wanted to go, and that gap was for them, and I was driving illegally and they didn't see it coming, even though I had indicated with my blinkers that I was gonna go back, right? I mean, granted, it was an illegal move, but the fucking road was closed. Where did they want me to go? You know what I mean? So, they were really upset. They looked at me like I was the fucking devil, and they weren't even in danger, right? It was fucking ridiculous. And I was shooken for the rest of the day from that, because this fucking asshole couldn't fucking realize that I was in a predicament and needed to do something that, I don't know, they just didn't see coming, and that upset them. It's not like we were even close to an accident. Let's see. Infinite Metal says, on the other hand, I've seen people start opening their doors to yell at the person behind them for honking their horn at them. Yeah, I've seen this too. They were getting honked at because they started going in reverse, suddenly both toward the other car and towards small children outside the cars in a parking lot. Oh wow, yeah, that's crazy. I thought you meant at like a light. I've seen that happen multiple times. Once I was in the car behind, and one of my kids was running around once at their school parking lot with other people. Yeah, so I am like super careful in parking lots. One time I was at Walmart, and I don't know, it just wasn't my day. I was like picking up someone, and I almost got into 3 accidents just picking someone up from a Walmart. It just happened to be really busy, and everyone was driving like assholes, and I avoided 3 accidents. But after that, I realized, like, people don't know how to drive in parking lots. So I go slow as fuck. I assume that there's someone in every car that's going to pull out right as I'm going past. And if I'm the person pulling out, I assume that there's people walking that are hidden from my vision. And so I go 2 miles an hour. I go slow enough that if there was a person there, they could knock on my car window and I'd still have time to not hit them. That's how I back up. And like, sure, anyone who's like waiting for a spot will have to wait a little bit longer or whatever, right? But I'm not gonna hit a fucking person, hell no. I'm kind of I drive like a grandpa, for sure. Like, it wasn't always this way. But I feel like the more you drive, the easier it is to justify the what do they call that? Defensive driving, right? The longer you're on the road, the more shit you've seen, and the more the reality comes crashing in that you need to be the defensive driver. Infinite says, in both situations, it wasn't even people pulling out of a space either. Oh, jeez. Like, I've seen some pretty hellish parking scenarios. I almost got caught in the situation a couple weeks ago, or like a month ago, when I was in Oklahoma here. I was I had like missed the store that I wanted to go to, so I like went around the block and was going into the back entrance, and then or I don't even remember exactly. I needed to get around the block, so I went into the back entrance of this like you know, strip mall or whatever, and then man, I keep getting the network error, but it's like only on one browser and not the other. It's kind of a weird thing. So I had to like, I was gonna make a left, right? But I needed to like pull into a parking spot and then do like a 3-point turnabout and get the direction that I needed to go. But I couldn't because there was like a row of cars there. So I ended up just kind of like waiting for this row of cars. But by doing that, I was blocking the entrance of the parking lot. And there was like kind of the only other way there would have been to go would be like to do like a whole, and this is probably what I should have done. I probably should have gone down the parking lot a bit and found a spot to do a 3-point turnabout and then sit in the back of that line, right? But I assumed that the line would be moving soon, and sure enough it was. But had it not, I would have been completely blocking that parking lot, and then the cars coming in would be waiting for me, and then all of a sudden they would be blocking the road, and like it could have been bad. It could have been bad. But luckily things got out of the way quick enough and I could keep moving. But I guess the takeaway there is that even someone who's driven you know, professionally for a huge course of my life, I've done deliveries for like multiple different companies, right? And I've kind of seen a lot in a lot of different cities and stuff. Even someone with as much driving experience as me can still make mistakes. So you got to assume that everyone can make a mistake, because they can. And this is sober, right? You also kind of have to assume that not everyone's going to be sober. The way our society presents alcohol, they make it seem like it's okay as long as you don't get caught. And that's pretty fucked up. But that's the mentality of people who drink a lot. I mean, there are smart people that know how to drink, and they responsible enough to get an Uber or whatever, but not everyone has the resources for that. And a lot of the people who don't have the resources are the people that take up, you know, addictions like that. So gotta have your eyes open constantly, looking out for shit like that. Yeah, but personally, I kind of hate driving. Like, I don't mind it on occasion, or even like it can be fun to like drive across the country for me and stuff like that. I would almost rather drive across the country than fly across the country in some situations. And I'm not like afraid of planes or anything like that. I mean, any more than I think might be natural. But I'm like also like really highly aware of how dangerous cars can be. Like the last time I drove to Illinois, there was at least 2 or 3 lethal accidents that had occurred, you know, within, you know, a half hour or so of me being there. You know, like blood on the highway accidents, right? The kind that clearly weren't avoided. I don't know if they could have been avoided. In most situations, things can be avoided, but things go wrong. And these particular accidents all involved big trucks, which probably left people pretty helpless to avoid. Sometimes you don't see that shit coming. Infinite says, a good scenic road trip can be nice when you aren't in a rush. I'm not a big fan of doing a lot of driving either, but I've done enough. I used to really like flying, but over the years I just hate the security so much. I'd rather do anything else. Yeah, I don't like the security. I don't like being locked in with a bunch of sick people because there's always someone that's like sniffling and coughing the whole time, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And like, I feel like if I'm going to get sick, it's at a fucking airport for whatever reason. Like, I don't mind like being there. Like, don't get me wrong, it's uncomfortable, like the seats and stuff, and not being able to like stretch out or whatever. But like the last couple flights I've taken, I had a perfectly good time just sitting there. I had my Steam Deck on the last one, and it was a short flight, so I didn't run out of battery. But I also had my Miu Mini just in case I did, and that would have been the, you know, the next one. And between the two of those, that's at least like what, 4 hours of battery, depending on which games you're playing on the Steam Deck, or I guess on both. But then the one before that, I just had a book. I was just reading a book. I got through like half the book, flying from Phoenix to Chicago and back. And it was enjoyable. I think most people slept on that flight because it was like a late flight, but I couldn't really sleep, so I just read. You know, I think I did sleep for a little bit, actually, now that I think about it. One time I flew to Italy, right? It was like a 14-hour flight. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, who had never flown ever before. This was her first time flying. And she was terrified. Like, I had never witnessed someone with a fear of flying before. And she didn't know that she had a fear of flying until the plane was about to take off. And then all of a sudden she got terrified, like panic. And she nearly broke my hand squeezing it, right? It was intense. Oh. The network error, got the network error again. It's weird because I've got it open on another computer. On like one is the stream manager and one of them's just like the regular stream, right? And it happens differently for the different players. Sometimes it happens for one and sometimes it happens for the other. My apologies for that. I have no way of fixing it. Let's just use a circle there. Another ad break coming up soon. I'm gonna sip some water here. Might be about tea time soon. Got another ad starting in a couple minutes. Well, I'll take a little tea time break for that. Actually, it might be wise to just do it now because it takes about 3 minutes. So I'll just run a 3-minute ad and then we'll be back for tea time. So yeah, BRB, and I'll be back shortly. Alright, I am back. I want to do a quick search on that network error thing. It says often caused by unstable internet connection or issues with your local network. Yeah, I don't know. No fixes. some people say clearing the cache and that kind of stuff, but it seems like it's coming from me, or maybe it's coming from them. But I don't think if it's affecting all of us, I don't think clearing the cache is gonna help. Wonder if YouTube's having the same issue. Let's sip on this tea now it's cooled down a bit. Yeah, that's frustrating about the internet. I feel like it just keeps cutting out. Man, it just keeps happening. Ridiculous. Yeah, last night my internet just cut out for like a couple minutes, turned back on, and then cut out again for a couple minutes. And it does that from time to time. I'm not sure why. Super frustrating because I pay a lot of money for that shit to work. And then it you know, kind of works most of the time, but it's not fucking reliable. Luckily, it happened after my stream ended last night, so the stream was fine. Well, the stream just keeps on doing that thing. So like, if anyone's actually watching, it's probably super annoying to have to refresh it. So unfortunately, I think we're gonna end early. Which is kind of sad. Something is in my eye. Give me a second here. I'm gonna clean my eye out real quick. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like something was in my eye, and it's better now. But yeah, I do think the stream is failing here, unfortunately. 'Cause both of my monitors are it's just got the ring, like it's loading. Ridiculous. So unfortunately, I think we're gonna end the stream early. I appreciate those who have been hanging out and refreshing and dealing with the network bullshit error thing. I have no idea what's going on there. Maybe I need to reset my router or something like that, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we got a start on this one. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like without the reference. So we did get a start. We got the line work in. The line work looks mostly good. Excuse me. Other than a couple pixels missing maybe or something like that. And we've started blocking in the color. I guess we should probably save it. And we got the network error again. Wonderful. Anyways, so we got this one looking like this. Here's the reference. And here's the pixel art version. It is still a little noisy for my taste, so we will go back and try to clean it up and stuff. But yeah. Anyways, we've got this and we've got that. we're coming closer to being the full thing. We've got 2 more characters, and yeah. Anyways, thanks again, everyone. Sorry for the short stream. Saturday, it sounds like we're gonna be playing Hold Fast Nations at War, so that's a fun one. If no one's ever heard of that one, it's a historical first and third person shooter, and it's like an MMO. So you have 50 on 50, or I think there's like 150 people in the server, and it's split in half. So is that 75 on 75? Yeah, so there's like 65, 70 people on each team. And yeah, it'll be interesting though, because it's going to be hard to we'll probably have to wait to get in the servers and stuff like that. And but once you're in, so that's what's cool about that one. But anyways, yes, Hold Fast tomorrow at the normal stream time, 9:30 my time, with Indiana Crones. I don't know who else he's got playing that game, but that's what it sounded like in the DMs. I can double check to see if there's any. Yeah, no other word on that. So yeah, that seems to be like what we're doing. Should be fun. The ad is starting, and we don't really have enough people for a raid, so I think we're just gonna end it. Yeah, alright. Well, the network error just keeps happening, so for those of you who are actually watching, I appreciate it. For those of you who've been constantly refreshing, sorry, I feel bad. But yeah, we'll probably maybe stream some more pixel art tomorrow to make up for it. I don't know. Maybe Sunday, if not tomorrow. But we'll definitely play some Hold Fast tomorrow, and I'll reset the router after we're done here today, so maybe that'll help things. I don't know. Anyways, thanks again, everyone. We're going to just end it, so bye.